What is the strangest reason someone's ever come in for an adjustment?
It's like, okay, you've tried all your other options and you're not like, oh, well, man, I don't know if I should have went to the chiropractor or gone to the dentist. Like, no, they've tried everything else. It hasn't worked. Like, here's what I have. But essentially, there's a little boy who contracted a bacteria, and the series of events that had to happen in order for him to get the proper care was nothing short of God's plan.
Welcome back to Green Country Conversations, the podcast where we hear about the stories and learn about the people that make Northeast Oklahoma truly great. I'm your host, Maverick Pitchford, owner of Bison Ridge Insurance, and today we're going to have on a guy who is bringing on a fresh new approach to chiropractic care in Green Country, Oklahoma. But first, let's take a minute and hear from our sponsors.
Hi there. This is the point of the podcast where I'd like to thank our amazing sponsor, but we don't have one yet. If you're a business owner and you're interested in sponsoring the Green Country Conversations podcast and getting your business information out to hundreds of listeners across the Green Country area, please reach out to me. My email is maverick@bisonridgeinsurance.com. Let's avoid this awkwardness next time.
Hunter Alario is the founder of Chiro Correct, a clinic dedicated to helping patients find real answers and solutions without medications or surgery. Originally from deep south Louisiana, Hunter's work ethic was shaped by summers spent on his father's shrimp boat before he pursued a career in the chiropractic care. He has a passion for helping people move and feel better, as well as an equal love for hunting and land development. Today we'll dive into his journey from Louisiana to Oklahoma, what makes his approach different, and how he balances business with his passion for the outdoors. Hunter, welcome to the show, man.
Man, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. You kind of are in a space that is close and near dear to my heart. I really pursued chiropractic before I got into insurance, and so this is something that I find interesting. And then also, like, your social media is great. I mean, my wife, like, I think I had mentioned that I was going to have you on the pod, and she was like, "Oh, I see his videos all the time." So it was cool, like the first kind of person that she, didn't know that I already knew. So that was fun. But yeah, man, your videos, you're killing it on social media. So good job, man.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
definitely, dude.
That was a kind of a vision that came to life about a year ago. Obviously, as you know, like, just for an example, like podcasts used to not ever be a thing, right? Like, it was something that slowly just grew.
Yeah.
And kind of took over the nation by storm, and really the world. Same thing with Instagram and TikTok. It started off as people for social media to connect, get funny viral videos, and now it's transitioning in a way to promote your business and promote a product. TikTok shop, and how many people do you hear like, "Yeah, man, I got that off the TikTok shop." TikTok has been great and everything, but the content of what I produce is, I've noticed, served more through Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
And just letting people know, like, what to experience on their visit as well. And that's what people want to see, right?
Yeah.
Like the entertainment side of it is the sound and like the shock effect of what the adjustment is. A big thing I try and capture as well is like the authentic relief and the progression that we get with the patient and the value of what chiropractic holds, man.
Yeah, man, I love that. I think all the time, because obviously we hit social media really hard over here as well. And like they say, the people you want as clients, they got to know you, they got to like you, and they got to trust you before they'll work with you, right? And so Instagram, Facebook, all of the social medias, that's a great way to do it. And it's just slowly but surely building that trust. And that way, whenever they walk into your office or they call me for an insurance policy or whatever it is, it's like, hey, I feel like I know this guy. I've already seen him, on 10 or 15 videos or whatever it is. So it's just slowly chipping away at it, man. That's all you can do. But let's get into a couple rapid fire questions, and then we'll get into more industry talk here in just a second. Yeah. So some of these are funny. Some of these, like I said, are more centered around your career and your life. So let's start off with a bang. Start off with a funny one here. Would you rather fist fight a kangaroo once a month or wrestle an alligator once a year?
Alligator.
Yeah.
Swamps, bro. I hate alligators. Let me be clear. I grew up in South Louisiana, but one of my biggest fears is being in the water with an alligator. Now, if I had to wrestle them in the water, it's a little different. If I'm on land, I've done it before. It's not a hard You cover their eyes, you pick up on them, they don't know you're coming, and you pin them down. So it's not as hard as it is. Kangaroos, man, I feel like
Man,
Power.
he'd donkey kick you right in the chest. It'd be awful.
I'm good, man.
Yeah, I would take the same option as you. As long as I don't got him in the water with him, I think I could at least have a fair shot against an alligator on land.
Yeah,
so.
dude, listen.
Especially because like I've seen some little guys do it, and I'm not a small guy, so I'm like, I can just lay on him if I have to. You know what I mean? Like,
now when you do it, you got to commit. You can't hesitate.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, pretty much my whole up until the point, like, I mean, obviously old enough to do it, but I felt like we did it once a year, just
because.
Just because,
That's awesome, man.
You had an alligator under your car, or one that climbed up out of the sewer, and you had to get it out. Really, the only efficient way was to either rope it or wrestle.
Funny.
So,
that's funny. And when I put this question on here, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that you were from. Hang on one second, man. Let me pause this real quick. My wife just walked in. Hang on.
You said you weren't even thinking about the question of the alligator.
Yeah. I was not even thinking about the fact that you were from Louisiana. That's kind of a answer that I could have seen coming. I feel like now that I'm thinking about it. So, but leading into our second question here, my favorite type of food is Cajun food. So I'm kind of curious what you're going to say about this. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Crawfish.
Crawfish? Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I don't get it as often as I would love to anymore. So like further north, I move up here. One, you can't go eat it at a store because they don't cook it like you should.
Yeah.
I'm a critic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the names of the places I've been here that just were super disappointing. But I will say the name of the place that I've had the best experience when it comes to Cajun food is T. Johnny's.
Okay.
Man, they have really knocked it out the park with their food. They're originally based out of Natchitoches.
Yeah.
I always made a joke that anybody north of I-10 really ain't from South Louisiana, but they've done well with their food.
So I don't know if you know, my office is actually in Coweta. So like I'm 5 minutes from T. Johnny's. I drive by it every day. So I was actually, as you were saying, I was like, man, I got to get this guy on T. Johnny's game if he doesn't already know. So that's good that you've been out there. It's good stuff.
We're balling crawfish this weekend, and we reserved 2 sacks from T. Johnny's. So
that's awesome.
So
Yeah,
man,
they're good stuff, man.
Definitely. And I know that because of the less that I get to have it.
Right.
Man,
you're like, man, I miss it.
Seasonal thing, right?
Right.
So yeah, dude. When I go,
that's
home,
awesome.
My parents we eat crawfish 4 or 5 times. When I come home,
that's hilarious, dude. That's amazing. What is the strangest reason someone's ever come in for an adjustment? Because I imagine there's some pretty crazy reasons. I'm sure you get your common ones, right? Like, hey, I was in a car wreck. Hey, I slept wrong. But like, what's that one where you're like, man, I didn't see that coming?
Man, that's a good question. I've had some now recently, being that so one of the big things that I'm not going to say viral, but have gained a notification, at least in the area, has been through a TMJ adjustment, so a jaw adjustment. So I had these are a couple of patients that have come in that for years have not been able to open their mouth wide enough to enjoy simple foods like a sandwich. Or even be able to like open their mouth wide enough to brush their tongue.
That's crazy, dude.
You know what I mean? So being able to provide that and just like going into the adjustment and being like, man, I hope this is the answer. I hope this works. Because truly, as a chiropractor, like any chiropractor has a hope and a belief of like what the adjustment holds and what it will do, but we truly don't know how the body will react and if what we're doing is the right thing. The best way to strategically plan that out is to ask the right questions and the history and take x-rays and we've ruled out all possibilities and contraindications of it being that. So yeah, this is it's got to work, right?
Right.
They've tried the orthotics and their mouthpieces and tried, people reaching in their mouth and massaging their cheeks and
right.
dental work, and nothing's worked. It's like, well, I hope I can essentially from what it looks like, karate chop your face and it works.
Yeah.
That's all. I say that because that's when patients come in for it, they're like, "Do you do the karate chop face thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not."
You're like, I wish you wouldn't call it that, but yeah, I do that.
More
Yeah.
Behind it, but yeah, man.
That's cool.
That's the craziest thing that's come in because
It's amazing.
when you don't treat it and people don't know that you can efficiently treat it, you don't see it often. So to know that there are people out there that's not just the amount of people in the world there are people all over. So I've had people to different degrees with
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I've had people with, burning in the face, and there's a nerve called the trigeminal nerve that exits around the TMJ, and be able to adjust that and the burning go away.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, and I would imagine those type of people that are, dealing with those type of symptoms that aren't crazy common. One, you probably feel like I'm the only person that deals with this because it's not something crazy common. And two, you probably feel like since I'm the only person that deals with this, there's no one who can help me. But then when they find someone like you who can, they're like, oh, this is a saving grace, right? This is something that's huge.
And a lot of times, dude, I'm their last ditch effort.
Yeah, right.
I am the last ditch effort.
Yeah. They don't come to you first.
Right. I love being there though, because it's okay, you've tried all your other options and you're not like, oh, well, man, I don't know if I should have went to the chiropractor or gone to the dentist. No, they've tried everything else. It hasn't worked. Here's what I have. Yeah. And then when we see progression off of the first one or two adjustments, it's like the glimmer comes up. Yeah, dude, it's awesome, a super rewarding and soul feeding profession.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's talk about, because you kind of talked about how you dive in deeply. I think that my question is going to be, what's the biggest misconception that people have about chiropractic care? And I'll give a little bit of caveat of why I say that. I grew up going to chiropractor all the time, right? And then I've had a couple bad experiences that kind of pulls you away. Like I said, I'm not a small guy, and so I just think that there's some difficulties with adjusting very, bigger guys probably. And I've never had you look like you're a fairly, big guy. So I imagine it's different, right? I say that to say that when people have an opinion on chiropractic care, it's usually because of the bad misconceptions that they've either experienced or so. What is kind of if you can think if I could wave the wand and make this one thing go away that people think about it, what would it be?
So here's the thing. You nailed it perfectly on the head, man. It's the perception that people have of chiropractic are the ones that the chiropractic, we've given ourselves over time, right?
Yeah, right.
Saying that we can do things and fix things and not being able to do that, and you get more in the perception of running a business rather than being a healthcare professional.
Right.
That we shoot ourselves in the foot on that. I think what the biggest thing and what the chiropractic world have strayed away from is and you see it in seminars and you see it spread across schools and how to be a successful practice. It's well, here's a strategy of 1, 2, 3, and how to psychologically convince your patient to say yes to care and to say yes and say yes. It's dude, what it comes down to, be authentically you, right? And be honest. Be a decent human being. At the end of the day, I did not get into chiropractic care to make $1 million. Right. Or be a millionaire. If that comes along in the future, it'll be because I gave the most efficient care possible when that person came seeking care. And I didn't treat it like a dollar sign. I've seen that side of it personally from previous experiences with previous companies I've worked for, man. It's we got away from the reason why we even got it into this in the first place. Because, in chiropractic, there is an opportunity to make money here. And you can do that two different ways. You can treat it as a businessman and be super shady and super greedy and treat everyone be oh yeah, do care or don't do care. But if you don't, you won't be seen here. And it's what?
Yeah.
And I always tell my patients the same thing. It's I give my recommendations, as any healthcare provider should, because I'm leaving all the options on the table. I'm honest with them about what I can do and what I can't do. and what are realistic expectations. So on the forefront, it's like, this is what I plan to get done with you. I don't plan to make it perfect, but we plan to make it as close to normal as you've been in a really long time, and to increase your quality of life. That is the goal at the end of the day. Right. Because I can correct the curve. So what I do is curve correction, right? Posture correction. That takes time, dude. Especially somebody that's like in their 40s and it's been developing that way for 20 years.
Right.
I condense aggressive care into about 2 to 3 months in gaining momentum to shift their posture in the right direction. And then I'll give them the knowledge and the tools necessary to continue that. Because the goal is not to see me once a week till the end of time.
Yeah.
If it was, it'd be a great way to run a business, right? Because like, if that's the case, it's like, let's put everybody on a year care plan.
Right.
But the goal is to get everybody feeling better as quickly as possible. And like, some people take longer, some people take a little less time. And that's all age, arthritic change, past experiences and traumas and all that stuff. But the constant thing, the two things that I think where we mess up as chiropractors is when you run in a business and you get business mindseted rather than healthcare mindset, you start running through patients as what they describe as feeling like ran through like cattle.
Right.
In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. I've made sure, and the people that work for me and the employees that I have, is that if they ever see that, and thankfully they have not had to come to me yet, but like if we get busy to the point to where you feel and you see that even for a second, pull me aside, call me out, kick me in the ass and tell me, hey, you're doing what you said you'd never do. Because I will never forfeit my patients' allotted time and feeling heard and receiving proper care to make $1.
Right.
It's the proper
that's huge.
it's the proper care of the patient that will come first. The money's lagniappe. That's bonus. That'll just come with proficient care. The other thing as chiropractors, and we want to believe it all through school, right? Like you hear about the chiropractic miracle and the chiropractic miracle. And I've seen the chiropractic miracle happen, dude, and you can't explain it, like things that have happened and when you've gotten people better and you've changed their lives. But it doesn't happen in every patient every day.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't heal the world with your hands. You can't. And when we get in this rap of telling every single patient that through adjustments, we end up making this name because they create this expectation of like the chiropractor is going to fix me with their hands, and they give no direction of what they should do outside the office, or, how they should, implement these exercises in their lives, or to change their posture, or like dietary changes and nutritional suspect of it. Because like, we're not a bag of bones, man. Like we're a very complex system of organs and nervous tissue and muscles and skeletal and just the whole thing combines in one. And if you just leave it up to chiropractic, like adjust and like, yep, see you later, you just got better.
Right.
It's unrealistic. And that's why I use posture correction to fix root causes that I am capable of fixing. And if I can't, it's being honest.
Right.
So I think the big thing it comes down to, number one, is just be honest with your patients.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think that going back to what you said, I say this all the time when it comes to my clients. I say this when it comes to marketing. I think the world we live in now with social media, especially like as we get younger clients coming in, both my business, your business, that everyone's BS meter is turned up to, 250,000%. And so they're going to be able to see through it. So you saying like, if you're just honest, that's the way to build a business. Cause that like eventually you may fool them for a little while, but eventually it's going to come out that like, hey, this dude was just trying to get money off me. And that's really big. And then the fact that I think a lot of people like the idea of surrounding themselves with, not yes men or yes employees, but the fact that you've actually done it and had that conversation and like, hey, because I would imagine there's a lot of chiropractors that didn't start out wanting to run their clients through like cattle, like you said. But I imagine that you get busy and you're like, hey, I'm helping as many people as I can. And then that just switches over time. Like, I don't think there are probably people who are like, I'm going to do it this way on purpose. But there's also people who could easily, and you've set up a boundary where you're like, hey man, if you see that, just let me know. That's huge, because ultimately that's going to benefit your clients in the long run.
Yeah. Because you'll get washed. You'll be like, man, I'm helping so many people. And then there's a shift where your quality of care now diminishes.
Yeah.
And you don't see it that way because you'll look at the end of the day, you're like, man, we did pretty good today. But then you'll notice what'll happen. And I saw it in the previous office of before I had left. It's like, and a lot of from patients that are coming and they're like, man, he wasn't always like that. Then he just got really, really busy. I just felt like a hurt. And it's like, I can promise you they didn't intentionally be like, yeah, I'm not going to give a crap about this patient.
Right.
They're like, man, I'm helping them. I'm not chiropractic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm just going to start pushing. But I will always ask the questions that I ask as soon as a patient, before they even go face down, before I even start palpating is, how'd you do in between adjustments? Did anything come up that I need to know about? What areas do I need to focus on?
Right.
Those 3 questions will get everything that I need to know in order to move forward to efficiently treat that patient.
That's awesome, man.
And it's up to me in palpatory skills to be able to figure out and dial in what's going on. And then
that's awesome, man.
Adjustment, I ask questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm curious because in your pre-podcast interview like sheet that you filled out for me, you had mentioned that maybe chiropractic wasn't always the plan. You wanted to go to PA school. Tell me a little bit, one, about kind of how you made that switch, what made that switch, and then what was your inspiration for starting your own chiropractic clinic?
So, 2 totally different. So we, in undergrad, I always wanted to be in healthcare. I knew that. It was athletic training or physical therapy to start with, and the more that I dove into that and looked at the realistics of what I'm limited to, what I can do with that, there was always a ceiling, right? There's always a ceiling of what the potential of what you could reach there. At least from what I was looking at and analyzing.
Right.
Because I know now looking back at it, there are some PTs out there that do an amazing job.
Successful, yeah.
Super successful, but not even that, but do their own brand of it that isn't traditional to the PT. But we didn't know that back then, right? That wasn't.
Right.
They've become innovative in their own way of creating a new standard of what great physical therapy is. And moving forward, I was like, well, you know what? PA, physician's assistant, really started to make more sense. I did months, probably 6 to 8 months of internship with a neurosurgeon out of Lafayette, Dr. Daniel Cormier. There were times where he would call at midnight and be like, hey, dude, I got a neurosurgery. Guy got stabbed in the face. Do you want to come in? I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Dropped everything.
Yeah.
Looking back at it then, I was 3 beers deep at the at one of the local bars with some friends and just taking off.
Yeah.
Go and get ready. And so I got some really cool experience and got to learn a lot there.
That's cool.
And then I was fascinated with it, just the human body and the complexity of it, and from patient to patient too, and what the body was capable of withstanding. But I also got to see from a side of it, not all of the success stories, follow-ups with those patients and what surgery would do for those patients. And some of them left a bad taste, but you just figured, well, you kind of put in your head, well, maybe it's a fluke deal, that's not how it always is. Fast forward into 2017, in undergrad, I used to bounce. I was a bouncer. And fight broke out, ended up getting underneath a scuffle and fractured my fibula in mid-shaft.
Wow.
Not anything crazy, not anything that should have caused, long-term. That's why I was 22,
Yeah.
And then I get it operated on, lets me know hey man, start wiggling your toes whenever you get the chance. 2 weeks in, toes start to hammer curl. I know something's wrong. I go in, I'm like, hey, something's up. It ain't right. I have more pain than I ever had, even right out of surgery. When I started to get mobility back, it's worse than it's ever been. Takes an x-ray. He's like, oh, you just need to go to physical therapy. You have a bunch of scar tissue. Go into physical therapy for 6 weeks, and they were stuck. Like, you could not.
That's crazy.
Straighten them out. I went back. I'm like, dude, I did everything you told me to do. It just got worse. I stuck with it, and it's just like, I don't know what to do. He was like, takes another x-ray. He's like, well, I don't know what to do either. I will send you to my foot and ankle specialist. I'm like, great.
Yeah. That's the answer you want to hear.
From the guy who did my surgery, right?
Yeah.
Get an MRI, go to the foot and ankle specialist. She comes in, and she's like, immediately, like, I don't even think she told me her name, man. I was like, we're going to lengthen your Achilles, and we're going to fuse your first 2 toes. And I'm like, I'm 22 years old. I'm like, can you show me on the MRI and tell me why?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, she looked at me and she goes, oh, I didn't even know we got an MRI. It's like, yeah, I won't be performing my surgery, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly.
I will go elsewhere. So, man, for a couple months there, I was lost. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. I was on a freaking scooter getting around campus, trying to finish out prerequisites to go to PA school. And the whole time that this was happening, I didn't know it until now, but or later on, that my drive to go towards this profession of traditional medicine was just dwindling. And it was because of the patient experience of care that I was receiving. So finally I find someone, they're like, hey, based off of what you're going, I had this done with my foot, and I'm like totally better now, don't have any problems with it. I was like, cool, I'm gonna go to this guy out in Tulane.
And was he a chiropractor?
No, he was.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
So now this is the third set of hands that I've been passed into.
Right.
I had the conversation. I was like, hey, man, we're going to go in there, figure out what's going on. At the very least, we're going to take out some scar tissue, figure out why you feel how you feel. It was like, awesome.
Right.
Go under, wake up. I have 4 new incisions. I have 2 rods running down the length of my toes.
That's crazy.
My big toe and my second toe, going in them and to straighten their. By all accounts, I'd hope so with metal rods.
Yeah.
But I never had issues with the actual toe. It was something that was causing that to happen.
Yeah, it was like the release, like you couldn't get it done.
Yeah, and man, I just remember looking at my mom and looking at her and just and she just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was during the middle of the surgery, he stepped out and asked my parents, I love my mom and dad to death. They have given the shirt off their back, and they've given the world for me. But they don't know medical jargon. Mm-hmm. And at that point, they were faced with a decision, trust your doctor, right?
For sure. That's kind of, that's what we're all trained up to do. Trust your doctor.
Yeah, that's what everyone's trained to do. That alone has caused me more difficulty in my life now.
That's crazy.
The rods that he's put in my toes than the actual ankle.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So that was the final cut of I don't want anything to do with this.
Right. Yeah.
So now I'm looking back at towards PT, and I just don't have the fire for it. I've kind of lost it. I'm like, man, I've done all these 4 years, an extra year and a half of prerequisites to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it good for?
Right. Had you at this point ever thought about chiropractic at all?
No. So this
never
is
even
where
crossed your brain?
So I get a phone call. It has, but in a totally different way than you'd expect, because I had a buddy who was going through school, and they're like, man, have you ever thought of chiropractic school? Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And my response to him was, chiropractic's stupid. Never been to a chiropractor. I was like, chiropractic's voodoo.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about. That's hocus pocus, because that's what we were trained to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And especially where we're at, we were trained to trust your PCP, right? But he's like, hey man, he's like, clearly didn't have a good run.
Yeah, why not try the other side of it?
He said, just go to the Parker Power weekend, go and see what they have to say. And he said, if you don't like it, don't ever go back. And I was like, yeah, you know what, whatever. I'll go take a trip to Dallas. That weekend it was forever what changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do with my life. Yeah, man. So chiropractor out in Baton Rouge, good friend of mine, Austin Buzzygard. He can take the credit for that phone call. But
that's awesome.
I got to see a side of chiropractic that I didn't know, because there was, from what you hear, like if you just kind of believe everything, and I deal with it from a professional level too, of hearing people having the horror stories like with what you have. If you only know what you know and you don't venture out and like understand what's out there, 'cause I always thought they were like, did all this like crazy, humming and singing. Like, I don't know. This is just kind of a vision I had in my head.
Yeah.
But going in the Parker Power weekend, man, it was like there's a lot more analytical approach now. And I mean, that's just kind of with the advancement of technology, right?
Right.
And I knew I wanted to take that part of what I loved and implement it into chiropractic. Like
right, especially since you were already, fascinated by what the body could do, what it could handle. Like that's right up your alley. And it's cool whenever you don't even know, and then you get that kind of door opens up and you're like, oh, this is a whole world I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. So that really, like, I know it now, because I'm strong in my faith. I was saved in 2020.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Looking back at it now, man, there's zero. What happened wasn't a coincidence.
Right.
Me breaking my leg, me going through the terrible experience that I went through and like losing the drive to go towards something what I thought I would always do, having a phone call and going up to Dallas and seeing that and being where I am now. It was all things God had placed in my life for the calling that I have. And I truly believe that, like, even with chiropractic today, like in what I do, like you will never hear me say that I healed someone. I don't. I pray a prayer every morning as, Lord, use my hands as a vessel.
Yeah.
You created the body in its perfect image, and though there are outside forces that can restrict that, use my hands as a vessel to be able to remove it and allow the body to heal.
That's amazing.
The body does what it's supposed to do given the right conditions.
Right.
So, that led me to Dallas. That led me to meet my wife. That led us to having our 3.5-year-old boy, and led us to Owasso in Claremore, Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm from LaRose, Louisiana. As far bottom as in the boot that you can get.
Yeah.
I'm in Northeast Oklahoma.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I say this, so if you're listening to this podcast, you know this, but we're really involved in our youth group at church, and I lead the boys small group for high school boys, and I tell them, if not every week, once a month, like, fellas, listen, there's gonna be a lot of doors that close in your life that you think are like, oh, this is the end of the world, like I'm never gonna be. But literally, like, God just wants you to turn around and look at him, because he's got a door there for you that you literally didn't even know existed. And he's like, hey man, walk through this door. Look what I got for you. Like, you may think that your plan is like, and I know you know this, but like, you may think that your plan is A+. Like, if I hit everything in my goal, my life's going to be amazing. And God's like, I could 10x that. All you have to do is trust me. Walk through this door. Let me show you. And like, it's super cool to hear you say that and like have gone through that experience, because it's easy to say that, but like to talk to someone who's walked that road and lived those real life choices. It's a cool story, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. So that brought me to chiropractic, and kind of going on that, the switch into opening my own.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
What led me there is very much a God thing too. So, what brought me up here was I always wanted to do curve correction. That was the analytical part of what I wanted to implement in chiropractic care, because there's a standard curve of what the spine should measure in the thoracic spine, and the cervical spine, and the lumbar spine, and what it should look like. And there's a standard to what clinically normal, fully functioning looks like in measures. We take that and we compare it to what the patient's chief complaint, and trying to dial in on what the root cause is and can we fix it, right? And I knew that's what I'd always wanted to do. And then I am an outdoors is about as even as a passion as you can get. Like,
Yeah.
some of the biggest life lessons that I've learned is with my father in the woods.
That's amazing.
I continue to, and it's also where I speak to God the most and the clearest, is in the presence of what he created.
Right.
So it's something I truly hold close, near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So all the development stuff that you read on that opening thing, it's only to create an environment for what the Lord has already given to us.
Yeah.
You know, you're using the ground and the soil and the nutrients and to provide food source to be able to harvest a deer that was only put on here by the Lord himself in order to family. And like, it's just the continuous cycle, right?
I love that.
So looking into where I wanted to go, it was Texas, Oklahoma, or Kansas, because I've had a lease in Idabel for a while. It kept me close to my duck hunting lease. And I know that's a crazy thing to look at it, but it had a
No, I don't think if you're in that world, it's not crazy at all.
Yeah,
people that are in that world, you say that comment, and you're like, that's not. I agree completely.
Which led us to Northeast Oklahoma. Tulsa is where we started. And she was 6 months pregnant at the time. And her family lives in Oklahoma City, so it was only that much more to make sense of like, okay, they're here, they're close, still in an arm's distance, you know, so that we still figure out together as a family of what we can do to support. And we found the company that I was, you know, that I started working for, and it was everything that I, you know, as far as patient care first. You know, the goal of what we do is to put the patient's health above all and else, and then the rest will come, right? Unfortunately, as the company grew, the mindset shifted. Of, you know, it was more business oriented. Like, how can we create this to be, you know, an empire of healthcare, and like, well, let's do IV now, and like, let's do all these, like, let's make it a personal training gym too, and let's get this hyperbaric chamber and red light, and let's do, you know, genetic testing through the blood and feces sample. And I'm like, dude, what happened to chiropractic care?
Yeah.
Well, the reason, like, I you know, granted, you know, this guy wasn't wrong about it all, but like, the reason that when I came out, like, I want to do chiropractic, you know, and when the other stuff comes, it'll come, but it was coming on so quickly, so rapidly that it was the
focus.
Shift, and everybody began to be treated as a business transaction.
Right.
And, you know, for the vision that I saw when I first started, this is why I stayed. But at the end of the day, man, like, end of the day, my family comes first, and I am like what's in their best interest. And in the 3 years of time I was there, I had no contract, no increase in pay. I had, you know, bonus structures taken away, and I came to a decision, and this leads me to tell you the second God experience that we had, and like, his timing has been planned out long before, right?
Right.
Because leading up to that moment for a year, you know, my wife had her, and man, my wife is the most amazing human being on this planet. As far as
you can't run a business without a wife supporting you. It's crazy.
Man, it's like the backbone of it all. The unconditional support and love and belief in what your capabilities are. Without that, dude, there is no chance I'd be where I'm at.
Right.
So for a year, she had voiced like, "This is not where you belong."
Right.
And when she said that, it was like, dude, if my wife feels that way, then like, that means something to me.
Right, exactly.
And so I'd ask God, it's like, when Lord, if you want me to leave,
Right.
let me know when. And please let it be before I sign a contract.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's time. And I'd feel the response of not yet. And then later down the road, something else that would happen that would, it was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, is it not yet? And that would happen a few more times. And then in May of last year, we went through one of the most trying times as a family, and for me as a man, and for my wife as a woman and a mother. And it all happened within a 2-week span, man. It was so crazy. My job security was threatened, right? Based off of a conversation that we had. And my biggest fear came to light, like, I'm a W-2 employee.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Pretty disposable at that point, right?
Disposable, and like not having a contract was what elicited the conversation. And then when I was met with a certain, of what was said, it was like, oh, well, that just solidified.
Yeah.
4 days later, we find out, and I don't talk about this a bunch because it still does affect me.
Yeah, for sure.
So bear with me if I do.
Oh, you're good, man.
Emotional on it. We lost a son. She was 12 weeks to the day. 4 days later, man. We just found out the gender, heard his heartbeat for the first time, and then within a matter of a week, it was taken from us. 4 days after being, having the job security.
Yeah.
And then amidst all of it, God said, now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm like, now? Like, of all.
You're like, right, did I hear you right? Right now?
Well,
Yeah.
it was now, man, because like it was only with that happening, and then the reaction and the responses and the conversations I had with my employer validated, like,
Right.
it was time. And I left. And a week later, we got hit by the Claremore tornado.
Right. Yeah.
So there's another thing, and I'm like, God, when does it stop? Like, and I remember me and my wife sitting in the living room with our back door, not the back door, the back frame blown in the house that we were living in. Water on the floor. Our house looks like a mess. Thankfully, we still had a home. And we're just like, I'm unemployed at this point. I have a name for a business, but no space.
Right.
We just lost a child, and we're like, what do we do? And me and my wife sat there and prayed together, and we cannot control what we can't control. God has already predicted our present, past, and future. He cannot he will not forsake us or put us through anything that we cannot handle. And these are the times that the Lord calls upon us to only turn to Him further, right? You're given free will, right?
Yes.
That's the essential thing about the beauty about being a human. He doesn't force you into anything. It's the free will of wanting to know the Father. And
Right.
I told her, I was like, we may never understand why, something so precious and something we prayed so long for was taken from us. But, that knowing that, He's with the Lord, and knowing that with what we can't control, we place at the foot of the cross and just keep moving and in blind faith, right? Like, because you can't see what's ahead of you, but move in blind faith and blind trust that the Lord already has in store for you the beyond belief what you can even imagine the potential of what's to come, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, was that just the biggest shift of like from the worst to the best.
Right.
I started I say we because I'll always consider we as me and my wife.
I did the same thing. I did that the other day. I said something about we, and someone was like, you're the only employee. I said, you don't understand. Like when I started at the kitchen table, it was my wife and I, that's it. So she teaches, she's not here every day, but every decision I make, it runs by her. Like this is our business together.
Yeah.
I feel that, man. I feel that.
Yeah. And it's been such a blessing now. Like she actually she's in here twice a week,
That's awesome.
With patients. Cause she's just such a light to be around. Like I kind of kick her in the butt to be here.
Yeah.
Cause I enjoy it, and it brings our son and allows me to have more time with them both.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It just implements her and allows her to be a face of the practice because she's ever so much a part of this and a piece of this for what it is as I am.
Right.
Yes, I'm the doctor in here, but she's the backbone of everything of what I am and what this is. But man, when we started in that room, we started with 12 people in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then social media was something I didn't know what I would do with marketing. I started it at the old place and saw that it worked, but I hadn't even began to dive into the potential of what it can grow a business. And I put all my eggs in one basket because that's what I knew worked. Yeah. And that is the only form of marketing that I still run to this day.
That's awesome.
And it has grown this business and reached people around in this community beyond my wildest dream.
Right.
So it's been pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. A couple things that just come to mind, and like I said, I connect so much with your story. Starting a business from nothing is so difficult. And if you don't have a wife that can support you, and then knowing that God's seal of approval is on it, there's no way it would ever succeed. So like you have to have those two things.
Yeah.
Something that came to mind while you were talking was, we talk about this a lot in youth, that a lot of times God will take you down to the worst floor you've ever been on, to the bottom floor, to the foundation, because he has to make you realize, and I'm not obviously speaking that this is what happened in your situation, but he has to make you realize that he's the foundation that you have to build on. And it's like, man, that's tough. It's a hard situation. And like you said, you have to have the trust and the faith that heartache creates miracles. Miracles come out of heartbreak. I truly believe that. And so I think that there's a lot of miracles that you're performing through your business for your clients, for your patients, but also like just the people you're connecting with. The story that you just told, however many people listen to this podcast, like that, there's probably one person that needed to hear that maybe they're not trusting God with that decision. They're not trusting, and you never knew you were going to, and I'm not saying this podcast, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, you didn't know that you were going to be able to use that story as your testimony. So man, I connect with that so deeply. There's stuff going on in my wife and I's life right now that's like, it's just, I can't even put into words how much I connect with your story, dude. It's I appreciate you telling that, because like I said, there may be people who listen to this for years to come and they hear that story and it really impacts them. So thanks so much for saying that. I know that's hard, but I appreciate it, dude.
It's something that I've grown better with sharing, just because like it shows one, like it's my testimony to, my faith and where I'm at and in a place where, you can easily go the opposite direction of that. Man, and I got reminded of that again today, not through personal experience, but watching a friend of mine go through the toughest thing you can ever imagine a father to go through. I don't know if you know the story of Ryder Barnes and the and the miracle of the Barnes family. That may be for another time, man, but
for sure.
because it's a lot, and I could never tell it as great as he can.
Yeah.
But essentially, there's a little boy who contracted a bacteria infection, and by all accounts, he wasn't supposed to make it. 1 in 26 cases ever recorded in the world.
Wow.
And the series of events that had to happen in order for him to get the proper care was nothing short of God's plan.
Yeah.
And that was when he was 18 months. And he, for three more years, he got to instore absolute joy upon the world. Unfortunately, this past Thursday, he passed. And man, it's crazy. Like, the reason I'm even bringing him up, man, because you're like, the testimony of things of like, people could go the opposite way. And I look forward to having a conversation with his father on this, but I watched his dad in the front row of the service yesterday lift his hands up and praise the Lord in song and worship. And it's like the unwavering faith that you have to have as a father and just a human in general to go through the hardest thing that you could possibly imagine, and still raise your hands. It was nothing short of like I'm strong in my faith, man. I am. And I'm not the perfect Christian, right? Like But to see that was one of the most inspiring things as far as from a testimony of faith.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, there's so much more in my faith that like I because looking at it from that, I truly don't know how one does it. So I hope one day I can deepen into my faith to hear how with that.
Yeah.
So, and there are stories, and I'm reminded every day that like God's not finished with you. You know what I mean? There is always deeper knowings and deeper levels to your faith. Because that was a different level for me to experience, and I saw it from a distance.
Right.
I have absolutely zero idea, the feeling of what that family went through. Right. I could never, even in 1,000 years, imagine at this point. But to see that and see the just a response of him and his wife, because the way that they looked at it, man, is they were never supposed to have the extra 3 years. Yeah. He truly was a miracle. So yeah, sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, man. I mean, I think that so for the listeners, every podcast I give a caveat where I say, hey, these are the questions I have planned. Conversation may go different places, and our conversation went to a place that I'm going to, hit end on this recording in a minute. And I firmly believe that God is going to use this conversation to, benefit someone in some way that they need to hear it. There's no other reason than the fact that you and I have never met before. We've never talked, but this conversation came out today, and someone needed to hear that. So, we're going to wrap it up here. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up because we've touched on, the business stuff, but we've touched on things that are more important, right? Being a father, talking about faith, like those two things are being a husband. Those things are the most important things we can talk about. So guys, I don't know, what else I can say to that other than,
praise God.
Praise God. Crazy faith, right? So Hunter, man, I appreciate the time. Let's tell people how they can get in contact with you just for your business. Tell them what the best way to get in contact with you, where they can visit you, where your shop's at. Let them know, and then we'll get off here.
So, being that I run most of my ads through, social media, the easiest thing to do is click that link, go to the profile, and click the link to the website, which is www.chirocorrectok.com. And there'll be a link in the top that says, sorry, I got a buddy here.
I do. Hey, I did too. On my website, I'm like, I don't know if I said the right thing that's on there or not.
www.chirocorrectok.com and click the book now button.
There we go.
There it'll pull up a schedule of whether you're a new patient. I'm assuming like this is, and even pre-existing patients can look for availability there. If there's no availability in the time slot, there's usually a place we can fit you in. So you can also give a call at 918-558-2109. It'll either be myself, my office manager, Kylie, or my wife, Kelsey, answering the phone and can help you get scheduled up and figure out what we can do to help.
Yeah, that's great stuff, man. Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the conversation. Guys, I say this at the beginning of every podcast. The whole reason I started this podcast was to have people on that I truly think make green country great. And I can firmly walk away from this conversation and say that we had a podcast guest today that's doing that. And so, Hunter, I appreciate the time. Everyone else that's listening, I appreciate you guys listening. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.